Hello, friends. Welcome to the first episode of Nate Can't Read, where we're going to talk about everything pop culture, TV shows that I like, books, even though I can't read, that sort of thing. Let's finally jump into it. Hey guys, it's your boy Nate Can't Read. Going to talk about something that I've been wanting to talk about since I started watching it. The new Fallout show is finally here. And if you haven't seen the reviews yet, oh my gosh, everybody is glazing this up. It is, and rightfully so, it is so good. I literally binged it the first day it came out, all 8 episodes, 8 hours in, ate up my entire day, but it was so worth it. So I just wanted to kind of talk about it today and go into it. I love the Fallout franchise. It's a franchise I grew up with. Played Fallout 3, probably have 120 hours in it. Fallout 4, I probably have like 50 hours in. I feel bad for Fallout New Vegas. I probably only got 30, even though I will admit it's the best one. Fallout 3's just got a special place in my heart. Let's just jump into the good, the bad, and some other things that I really thought the show did and handled really well. I'll let you know when I get into spoiler territory. The first part is going to kind of be as spoiler-free as possible, and then I'm going to hit you with the meat and potatoes, jump right into it, and all that. Alright, so for this first part of the spoiler-free version, I'm going to talk about the good, and I'm going to try and keep it as spoiler-free as possible. Alright, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is the characters. Oh my gosh, they fit the franchise so well. And I was really worried at first. When I saw the first episode, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, we have 3 focal protagonists. I was a little worried about how they're going to handle it, because I know sometimes when there's multiple protagonists in an ensemble type plot, storylines can get a little jumbled. And we'll get into that once we get into the spoiler territory. But they handled it very, very well. Kudos to the writing team. All of the characters reflected the world perfectly. And oh my gosh, from episode 1, I was in love with every single character. I don't want to spoil too much, but we have 3 kind of central protagonists. We have the Vault Dweller, and if you're familiar with Fallout 3's plot and storyline, it's very similar. We have the Knight from the Brotherhood of Steel. Well, I guess he's not a knight yet. He's like a recruit, paladin sort of thing. Don't know my terminology too well. I'll fix it up here or here. Once I figure it out. But yeah, we have the Brotherhood of Steel, and then we have the Ghoul, which is probably the coolest character in the show by far. And it's voiced by the same guy who plays Cecil in Invincible, so I already was like, oh my gosh. Each character is also very cosmetically fit into the world very well. I felt like I was watching Fallout in real life. It was crazy. The makeup, the costumes, the world, brilliant. And the makeup for the Ghoul, oh my gosh, I'll put it on screen right now. Oh, beautiful. And how they get, I was just stunned when I saw it for the first time. I was like, okay, this is gonna be good. Makeup team, they put their time, money, and effort into creating these special effects and makeup. It was top notch. And then even the Vault Dweller suit, the Vault 33 jumpsuit, oh, so cool. I gotta cop me one for Halloween. It's so good. It really did feel like the setting as well was really reminiscent of Fallout 1, the first game. You're exploring California, and there's something really nostalgic about that, because I used to play way back in it's not. I guess it is way back now, 2017, which doesn't feel like too long ago, but I guess it's going on 5 years, more than 5 years, bro. I'm old. That's when I played Fallout 1 for the first time, was 2017, but I played Fallout 3 first, 2015, and oh my gosh, the setting, perfect. Brought me right back. I felt like I was flashed back into freshman year of high school. Crazy. Alright, I did want to go over some of the bads. I don't want to, really. There's some criticism to be had. So just some general criticisms. It starts off a little slow, I would say, but it's okay. It starts off slow, and it doesn't give you a lot of context in the beginning as to what these factions are and what is really going on. but I think that's okay. Me going in with like prior knowledge of the world of Fallout, I was like calling out every Easter egg I could. I was like, oh my gosh, that's sick. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. But I had to stop a couple times to people who were passing by and like really explain like the in-depth lore to them. So I definitely did feel like this show is more, catered to people who have played Fallout in the past. And that's not a bad thing. But definitely like kind of going into like detail about like what is the Enclave. They didn't really explain too much, but it wasn't too important to the plot. So that is fair. But like going into some of these factions and what they were like more deeply about, I think could be really cool to see, and I think they will touch more about that in the future. Another thing that was really prominent, and I'm sure if you've on this video, you've probably seen Oxhorn talk about it. It's the continuity errors with New Vegas. There's a couple of dates that were like, oh, if they were tweaked just a little bit, would fit the Fallout timeline perfectly, but they don't, and it's a little very flagrant errors, and I actually don't judge the continuity error too much. It's a simple date about no spoilers yet. I'll talk about it a little bit later after the spoiler free part. But there's just a certain date that they get just kind of wrong in the context of New Vegas. But I'm kind of okay with the continuity error though, because me watching the show for the first time, I feel like it takes place in the same universe as Fallout, but it feels like an alternate history hub of like the game of Fallout, which is interesting, if that makes sense. And that's kind of how I'm viewing it, as like a watcher for the first time, because when I was playing through New Vegas, I have my canon, if that makes sense. I have like my head canon, and this show is definitely not my head canon. So. And that's how I'm going to see the show. So even if they got the continuity wrong or they did it on purpose, I don't really mind it. I'm going to see it as like a separate canon from my head canon, if that makes sense. So that's how I'm kind of like going through the show. And I've seen a lot of like criticism online, but yeah, that's going to be my combat to the criticism. My head canon's still my head canon. The show canon going to be different no matter what. But yeah. So, that's going to be the bad. Now we're getting into spoiler territory. So, if you don't want any spoilers, now's the time to click out, because I want to talk about something that was really, really cool that the show did, that I haven't really seen anybody talk about yet, but I think it's very, very powerful and is really good for the sci-fi genre as a whole. So, if you're a fan of the sci-fi genre, you've probably seen the trope, Born Sexy Yesterday. Pop Culture Detective makes a really good video about it. It's really strong, and, it talks about a lot of, like, the issues in sci-fi with having characters that are, like, very naive, and partnered with, like, kind of men that sort of take advantage of them, right? This show is not like that. This show is the exact opposite. Both of our protagonists are very naive cases, right? And at first, when they have their little meet cute, so there's spoilers. So when they have their meet cute in what's that? In Philly. They have their meet cute in Philly during like a huge fight with the ghoul. At first, when I first got their meet cute, I was like, oh man, they're gonna fall. I was a little annoyed almost. I was like, oh, we're gonna have like a little love story with this like naive vault dweller and this dude who's been out in the wasteland for a while. Didn't like that at first, but then I found out how equally naive I'm spacing on his name. But then I found out how equally naive the Brotherhood of Steel guy was, and it works. It works so well. Like, I feel like they're learning with each other instead of like that sort of teacher grossness that we've seen in past like sci-fis. That it's very icky. And so it's really cool because you get to see these two characters like grow together and like and still be like forming this relationship, forming this bond, falling in love. It feels very innocent, but like not in a bad, creepy way. Like they handled it very, very well. Because the other thing I was worried about at first too is like, Because most of the time it's like the protagonist that has like that power dynamic over the other naive character, but I feel like they're at equal footing, and it's just done so well. I'm like, kudos to the writing team, kudos to the actors. They're just perfect portrayals, and like it's like a wholesome, heartfelt way to like have this sort of like naivete in the show, and have like the audience almost feel naive with them. Okay, yeah, Gym Nate here. But yeah, going back to what I was trying to say before I went to the gym. At first, I was a little bit worried, simply just about the power dynamics. One of the protagonists literally swoops in like this T-60 power suit of armor, like a knight in shining armor almost, and it is sweet. But yeah, that just made me like really concerned about the power dynamic when I first saw it on screen. But then by the end of their like story together, I feel like they've grown so much as like people, and they're both very naive, so it works really well. But it's very sweet, and by the end of the story I was like really rooting for them to get back together and reunite somehow in the second half. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the next season. But yeah, I just wanted to fix what I was trying to say earlier because it was really jumbled. This is probably also really jumbled, but yeah. Another kind of thing I wanted to talk about with that trope in science fiction, because they're both sort of these like naive characters, we are really like learning with the characters of the world, and like a lot of their first experiences are almost like our first experiences in the world, and it's really nice being able to like grow and like become a part of this world with them almost. It's a very unique experience. I really enjoy it, and I think it's a show that everyone can just like kind of pick up, and even with no knowledge of the franchise, not even like even if you're not a fan of like science fiction, I think you'd fall in love with the show. It's really good. Another thing I wanted to talk about was some of like the fun, zany things that just happen in Fallout that kind of happen in the show also. There's this one other Brotherhood of Steel, like Squire is what they're called. And he, oh my gosh, his foot gets absolutely demolished, like toes falling out, bones poking out. And so he meets this like traveling doctor on his way to try and deliver this head to the Brotherhood of... It's a long story. Watch the show. If you skipped ahead after I warned you about the spoilers, this is your fault. Watch the show. It's crazy good. But oh my gosh, so he gets his foot like absolutely rocked, destroyed, busted, and he meets up with this like traveling doctor of all things, and the doctor's like, I have some wares, and turns him effectively into a ghoul with this like potion. And I think that's so sick because it really does remind me of like almost one of those like Fallout 3 side quests where you get like a little resistance buff to something or get like transformed in like an ill effect that you didn't intend but you picked it in the moment. Oh, it's so many good things about this show, and I just want to keep talking about it. Ooh, okay. And I almost forgot to bring this back up, but for you Fallout fans out there, the continuity error that I was referencing before is actually about the fall of Shady Sands, right? So throughout Fallout New Vegas, which happens, I guess, technically 3 years after the fall of Shady Sands in the show, and like in all of Fallout New Vegas, it doesn't reference the fall of Shady Sands, so the fact that it happened before Fallout New Vegas happened doesn't really work in the canon. But again, going back to what I think about the headcanon up here and the canon in the show, I'm kind of okay with that, but I know that's going to be a big sort of talking point for people online and trying to find workarounds around that. But that was my solution. It doesn't have to be your solution. You don't have to agree with me. But yeah, I wanted to mention that before ending the video because I know I referenced it earlier and I want you guys to know a little bit more about that. So if you see people upset about continuity, that is the reason why, but I wouldn't make too big of a deal about it. But I think that's where I'm going to end it for now. I'm about to go to the gym, so if I come up with any more ideas after the gym, you'll see me all sweaty and talking back with you guys in the camera. Or if I was recording any of this and it sounded gross, I'm probably going to re-record it with my hair all sweaty. So if my hair is all sweaty, that is why. But yeah, thank you for listening to my my take on the new Fallout show. I recommend it. Oh, I should give it a rating, huh? All right, it's gonna be a new Nate Can't Read rating. I think I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 for a TV show. Okay, that's actually really high. 8.5 out of 10. There are some things that could be better, but very solid, very very good. I'm already like I kind of want to rewatch it to get more of the to see more Easter eggs and to catch more and see more of the plot going on. Oh, but yeah, that's all I gotta say for now. Catch you guys in the next one.